pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
We are back. We are wrapping up The Wire Season 3 tonight. We are in the middle of Breaking Bad, heading towards the end of that, Season 4. And listen, Mike's not here to defend his child anymore. I was trying to remember, me and Mark both said this, we quit the show in Season 4. I fully understand why I quit this show in Season 4. I am not going to be nice at all. Matt's going to do his really good job. He's going to start talking. I'm going to cut him off to just yell. I think what did I send I sent something in our group chat. What did I say? Hold on. This is great for TV. I think episode 12 of Oz is where the show died. And I stand by that. That is special. How are you? I will go to Matt because Mark just took a bite, and I wasn't going to just pass the baton to him. So, Matt, how are you? How was your viewing experience? Overall, how are you?
Doing good. You know, this was definitely a crop of episodes. I feel like we'll get into the wire, but I feel like that went out strong. But they, like you said, Oz is getting kind of rough to watch. That I save that for Saturday mornings, so I can watch that while everyone else is sleeping, and it's definitely takes a cup of coffee to get through.
I think I was enjoying the season 4 a little bit. Like I was like, okay, so I kind of put that off for the first one. Like, oh, let me just get through it. But I want to see what happens, what crazy shit happens. Plus, I watch it early enough where my kids are not around me. Yeah, man, blame Sopranos or blame whatever. If this is season 5, this is bad. This is real bad. Mark, how are you? The Wire loving, Breaking Bad supporting, Oz defending. You have switched gears a little bit. Mark Menchaca, Texas Tech fan himself, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you, and how was your viewing experience this week, buddy?
Was doing okay, and then you immediately started mentioning the wire. I got some cake here with me. I was just gonna kind of eat throughout the show. I was just gonna leave it here just to get through intros. You mentioned Oz. I'm like, no, I need some help. Took a bite because I don't want to give it away, but
it's bad. It's bad.
This
show takes a nosedive. The way to best describe what they do in episode 12 is they have 3 scenarios and they roll a dice to see which one they want to use, and they put it out there. I've watched they made a decision in season 4 of Oz to the beginning to kill off Adebisi. The issue is they have no one to replace Adebisi. There's a moment that happens in this show in season 12 that I am dumbfounded that they made the call they made. And as audience members, they think that we are going to buy in. And we may all be talking about 3 different things. This one moment for me took the cake of all episodes. Like The Wire, I was like, holy shit, I understand exactly why they raised season 3 the way they talk about it. I get it. We are on and running. Breaking Bad has one of my favorite scenes of all time in this week's run, I'm in it. I say this because just to keep everybody on the record, last week we had to skip we skipped our scheduling. We were back in it this week. All right, this is no time between. Like, we got right back on the saddle. We did not miss a beat. But I'm telling you, not that I want to watch other shows. Like, I'm enjoying the ride that I'm on in 2 of these shows. But I'm telling you, if I could hit the end button again, it would have been on Oz this week. But
But
like,
maybe it'll get better. Who knows?
I don't think I think there are some arguably things that they decide to do that either they're going to retcon, that they have to because it's crazy, or 2, it's going to be the most painful 5 and 6, because this is a whole 2 other seasons that we're going to be dragged through to get to the
Shorter
end.
seasons, but yeah, they're coming.
Crazy. But like we've done in the past few shows, we are now going to pass the mic over to Matt. And by the way, we do not know Mike. Just rest in peace. I think with his new schedule and everything that's come up,
just let him film like a 5-minute Oz defense video, and we'll tack on the end of an episode. Or something.
At the very end, we'll tack it on right at the end of why he thinks Oz is the greatest show ever made. And I wouldn't argue with him for his crazy ass.
But you notice that all the time Mike talks about Oz, it's talking about previous seasons we've already talked about. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he likes 4, 5, and 8 because we don't hear those moments. So, all right, we are talking about Oz. We're gonna get this out of the way. This could be our longest rant of the night. I will be, so bear with us.
All right, so let's go. Season 4, episode 10, Conversations. McManus brings a cage in for Bad Boys.
I'm already interrupting you. Listen. How is this a punishment?
Because you're right there in the middle when they can point and laugh at you.
He says something something stupid.
In the medieval times, they had the stocks where they put people's heads in like.
You know what? If it was a stock, it makes sense. This is like he interrupted. He said something stupid to put him in there, so then he can still do his stand-up routine behind bars around for him. Isn't the point of solitary confinement where you're away from him? Not that somebody could come and poke you with a stick. Like this is a way to get people shanked. It didn't happen, but I was waiting for somebody to just get stabbed inside.
If someone gets shanked in that cage, then that's going to be a new low for the guards.
What episode? Is it 12 when we learn about Shanks?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I'll save that and put a pin in that. But I think if season 4, episode 12 of Oz, and we're learning about Shanks, is wild, like justification. I just want that on the right. All right, sorry.
All right, so
try to stop.
no, you're good. we need that for these episodes. Omar Little gets out of solitary. He stabs Guerrero and he goes back to solitary. So that was a fun little experience. I know Cody's favorite part of this episode was that Alvarez was caught and returned to Oz.
It was a good run. It was a real good run.
Oh, yeah, almost a season. Howell forces Ryan to resume their affair. Dr. Nathan returns, and Claire taunts Dr. Nathan about her relationship with Ryan. During an overnight stay in the infirmary, Ryan tells Dr. Nathan that he killed her rapist, and Dr. Nathan confesses her love for Ryan to Sister Pete. So we're back on that full speed ahead. Of course, the governor was reelected. We find out the Leo and his wife are separating, and he gets a new assistant, a Flora Mills. McManus immediately puts eyes on her and starts working his magic.
Instantly.
The Mole and Miss Fake Sally get engaged.
Congrats.
Enraged by Leroy Tidd's past tied to Adebisi, Saeed rejects his pleas to join the Muslim circle. So Tidd goes and makes a deal with the Aryans that he's going to kill Saeed for them.
Yeah, read the room, buddy.
Luke Perry, or Jeremiah, I'm probably just going to call him Luke Perry the whole time, is a TV evangelist who is sent to Oz for embezzlement. He preaches to the prison and takes the demons out of one of the prisoners, which kind of gets Schillinger's attention, and he wants to be a happy guy, so he starts talking with him, and then he decides that he wants to meet with Beecher and kind of clear everything up. So Vern's on the upswing, maybe.
No.
Not for long. Beecher visits with his daughter and his brother. Beecher is also sponsoring Ronnie, who is a former associate of Keller's. We get another new prisoner coming to Oz, Burr Redding. He has history with Hill, and he's already making moves. He kind of takes over that faction pretty quick from Poet. And Cody, it took into episode 12. For me, it was pretty much over right here. Oz is forced to house illegal Chinese immigrants.
Oh, bro.
So
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh, my God.
And the good part about this was that McManus immediately tries to sleep with the woman from the State Department as soon as she walks in.
100.
On board with the refugees when a hot Chinese woman comes in. He's like, all right, bring him in here. Let's go.
Like, this military, whoever agreed on this thing couldn't hate Chinese people more in their entire life than sentencing them to Emerald City. There's a prison ward that we learn about that's full of police officers. So there's at least Jay. You can't clear some of them out and just give them a. This is like when
Death Row has only got like 1 or 2 people. You could have put everybody in there.
It's like when the priest came back to Oz because he couldn't find an apartment, and they decided to just put him inside where the murderers were, and be like, "What? He died?"
In the cafeteria and just move him out when the prisoners are eating.
I was like, "There's no way right now that this is a." And shocker. Go ahead.
But Morales tells one of the immigrants that Redding is planning to kill them. And the immigrant goes to McManus and tells him that. And then at that point, Morales kills the guy to try to get Redding in trouble for it. Redding gets thrown into the hole. Or not in the hole. He gets put in the cage. My bad.
In the cage.
And that's pretty much the end of this episode. So that's his big punishment for maybe killing a guy. They put him in the cage.
Murders a guy that's not an inmate, and they put him in the cage for everybody to watch. And he acts like he's getting electrocuted. Like he gets put in the cage, like play now. Like, bro, you're just in a cage. Like you didn't even get stripped naked and thrown into the cell. Like, this season is like falling off cliff. Fuck that.
The sad part too is that the first half of the season was really good. So if this had been 2 separate seasons, but now this back half is really going to drag it down.
Yeah, like I even forgot Adebisi did. What did you say?
It's like vintage Walking Dead because like a lot of those, like 3 on, there's one good half of Walking Dead and then a shitty half of Walking Dead. That's exactly what's happening with Oz right now.
It was like 6 burners, and then all of a sudden, we're building up to 2 good episodes, then dead for the rest, and then you come back and you're like, we're just walking around again. What the fuck? Like everything didn't happen. I understand, like the governor doesn't care about people, all this stuff, but like M City. You guys haven't been doing your job. We're going to put a shark cage in the middle of the fucking ring and just let y'all. What about when 2 people fuck up? You got 1 cage. Like, who determines the cage? Like,
I think maybe what it is, maybe the guards were just tired of having to walk people all the way to the other side of the prison.
Oh, God forbid they do a job. God forbid any of these fucking COs do anything in this place. People get stabbed. People get shanked. We learn about.
I'm tired of stripping these guys and having to watch their dicks just swinging all around. Let's just put them in the center of the rec room here.
Did they get a quota that they just needed to increase the dick swings in this episode this season? These 2 episodes, there is schlong per minute in these episodes go up tremendous. There's a big one that happens very next, I think, in the showers. It's just and one of the most comical scenes I've ever seen. We'll talk about, but
well, HBO's
yeah.
got their quotas.
Yeah, you know what we haven't had? We haven't had enough dicks in this. Let's put some in.
All right. So anything else on episode 10?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to 411. Revenge is Sweet. So Redding is already out of the cage. Alvarez makes a deal with the warden that he's going to return to Oz as his informant.
You know? No, he gets out of the cage because he makes the most logical sense argument that if they would have thought for a second, they would have got it. He's like, I told you, and you think after one day after you telling me if anybody got injured that I was just going to go whack one? Like, you know what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. You're right. Like,
or it makes the most sense.
No, it makes the most sense. He's gonna get in trouble for it. It's crazy.
Which is why he wouldn't do it.
I told you. Tell me what? Like, crazy.
And you would think that they would make a bigger investigation of that because that's like not a prisoner that got murdered in the prison. But hey, not Americans, so we don't care. Oh, yeah, so Alvarez, he's going to be an informant for the warden. He approaches Morales about getting back in, and Morales tasks him with killing Redding. Howell visits Ryan. Cyril beats up a guy for ending his phone call. McManus considers sending him to a mental hospital. And also at this point, Oz has been selected to test a drug that will age prisoners.
Son of a bitch. You know that scene in Jurassic Park where it's like, you bottled it up, you put it out, you didn't even know what you had. That's the exact thing that this person. What if we give him an aging drug? Well, how are we going to make that work? Shut the fuck up. That doesn't matter. We're going to age them. I get it. But if we age all the most important characters, are they going to die? Nope. We're just going to have them wrinkles and gray hair. Kill yourself. I'm so done. Like,
I'll continue this trend. That story, I think, was when I think I'm done. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, what are we even doing here?
There's a moment. It doesn't. I don't think it happens in this. Does it happen in this episode or the next episode?
I think it comes later on in this episode.
Oh yeah, I was hysterical. I was hysterical. My wife thought I was on something in my room because I was just losing it.
I mean, you're in trouble when McManus is stepping in as the voice of reason to try to explain why this is not a good idea. But yeah, we'll come back to that. We know that as far as our main characters, Ryan, Cyril, and Beecher are all participating in this experiment. Then we have Jackson Vehu is back to prison, or back. He's been in one of the other cell blocks apparently this whole time.
Yeah, just randomly filled it out when he had another episode in his contract, but he had to be featured. Oh my god!
But yeah, so he's up for parole. He has a conversation with Hill, and Hill ends up going and calling up Vehu's victim, and then messes up his parole. So he beats up some guards and gets sent to the hole. The crazy toothpaste guy is transferred to death row. Which the one thing I noticed at death row, they still let Moses have those posters all over the wall. Which, I mean, I guess what's the likelihood of him doing that again? But hey, you never know. Let's see. Leroy is still working with the Aryans against the Muslims. He saves Arif, and then Saeed decides to bring him into the fold. So that master plan worked. Schillinger is reading the Bible and talking with Luke Perry, and the other Aryans do not like it. And they start having the meetings with him and Beecher, which I think in this episode they pretty much just have him sitting down, and it just cuts away, so we didn't even actually get to see any of the meeting. We get to see
meeting with that Hank's girlfriend that's pregnant.
Yep. And he's trying to tell her about how the church is going to help her out with anything, I guess. Timothy Kirk, I just put here, he's a bad guy. He's rejected by Luke Perry, and he doesn't take it very well. Omar White.
Yeah, because you awkwardly walk up to a guy doing weights and we're like, "You want a blowjob?" He's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, no, thanks.
I mean, you just
Let's go
say
to
yes.
Let's go to
That's how
the
you make
real
friends.
Christian guy in the room and see if I can convert him. Like, what the fuck? He didn't go because he wasn't a Christian. He went there for embezzling money. Like, buddy. It's like the guy going up to the Aryan Brotherhood and he's African American, be like, "Hey, want to get the fuck away from him." Like, they're not okay with you, buddy. Like, read the room.
So yeah, Omar White, he knows about the mole's hole that he's been digging in his cell. The warden has said that he will allow the marriage after all, as long as there's no more tunnels. So when he hears this, the mole decides he's going to play
straight out of an Abbott and Costello bit.
So he's gonna go in there and fill in the tunnel, but he hits a water pipe and floods their cell.
Which, please explain to me why he's shoveling, like hitting anything. Like, he should be just applying it back.
I mean, how is he gonna fill the tunnel back in? Doesn't he like take the dirt and like dispose of it somewhere? It's not like they just got it under the bed.
Here's the thing: why doesn't he? They haven't found it yet. Why doesn't he just cover it up like he's been covering it this entire time? Yeah, the chances of them finding it, you filling it's not gonna happen. You got this far digging it.
Just get like transferred to another cell or something. Let someone else enjoy it. Yeah. So he ends up getting sent to solitary. We see that everyone is flirting with Leo's new assistant. The warden holds a conference. We get to see Querns again. He got another job working at another prison, and he lets Leo know that Hughes isn't doing so well in that prison. So Leo wants to get him transferred to Oz. And we discover that Oz has a Unit J, which is for former police officers and guards. So we get Carver and Daniels are reunited again. And there's another cop there who kind of doesn't really get along with anybody. Lieutenant Daniels won't see his family. And then we go over to the Keller and Beecher. Keller seduces Ronnie to keep him away from Beecher. The FBI offers Ronnie a deal in exchange for information on Keller's murders. After Ronnie goes to him seeking legal advice, Beecher immediately tells Keller about it, and Keller snaps Ronnie's neck at a vulnerable moment. And that's pretty much the end of it.
Yeah, which brings up a question, because I don't know, because I haven't watched the next thing, but like, this aging pill is by far the dumbest thing that Oz has ever done. Like, the most like egregious was Hill went into that coffin, and we were like, oh, and we just get no explanation for that. Fine. I thought Reba Dow's like murderous streak was one of the dumbest things. Like, that's fine. Give him something to do. The Tim Scott, the constant like figuring out who killed and what happened and blah blah. I thought her getting written off the show because she found somebody in London and didn't want McManus was silly. But like,
I mean, that one makes sense because she found a man who wasn't McManus and she latched on like any sane person would.
Well, yeah, that's true. His name was Tony Soprano, but yeah, it's just the aging thing was like, we don't know what the fuck to do.
It seems like these episodes they get the immigrant thing, then they get the aging thing. It's just like they're just throwing stuff on the wall.
Like, we don't
like use it for like 5 minutes and they ignore it.
They like went to him and go, "Hey, we can give you 8 more episodes. Do you want them?" And like, yeah. Do you have a plan? Not really, but we can.
It's probably more like, we need 8 episodes right now. Can you just make something up?
Yeah, and that's how it feels. Like, Oz has always been like a theme show. Like, it goes through the same themes. All storylines are like doing this season. Like, they're weird and they don't make any sense. And yeah, dumb. And then their plan is to like get O'Reilly and Cyril on the medicine to do the aging projects. And if that's the case, like, those are 2 major players inside your show.
I feel like they kind of gone away too from like the Hill narration with him sitting in the glass box thing of that I'm just kind of like zoning out on him.
Well, it gets heavy. This one was like religious based. The 12 is the dumbest. Like, I'll just skip right here. He gives an entire lesson on what shanks are.
Oh yeah.
People have been stabbed so many times in this show, and we're learning about what different shanks are in season 4, episode 12. I was sitting there, I was like, well, this could have been useful, like every episode leading up to this, and now
Well, it's for the people making props for their Oz watch parties at home. So,
and yeah, and then it was basically like, oh, guys, we're gonna show you all these shanks in this episode exactly. Like, it's so dumb. Like, I think by far these are, of the shows that we've watched, of the episodes, 10, 11, and 12 are the worst in any show of any season at this point for me. I would put this on par with season 1. Is it season 3 or episode 1 or season 2 episode 1? Where that guy comes in and investigates.
Season 2, episode 1. Yeah,
it's the most different that they try to do, and it's bad. And like, this is where I'm at. Like, and I have no hope. Like, I was so amped to get to the next season of The Wire. I was just like, oh, I can't watch all this right now. Because I don't care. Because what? We only have to do 2 episodes the next 2 weeks. Is that what we agreed on? So, like, thank everything for that. Because it has more seasons than the other ones. So, yeah, but yeah, it's bad. Mark, what did you? Well, I mean, we're getting to the fucking greatest episode ever.
I mean, I think here's the thing for me. Like, I've been, I would say, pretty critical of the show since we've been watching. I think I've probably been the most critical of the show. But I think at the very least, like, when, like, I thought it was bad, there was at least some fun moments. And we kind of felt, like, there was some, we kind of knew where we were going. But, I mean, you kind of touched on it a lot earlier. Like, it feels aimless right now. And you touched on Adebisi dying, and I thought, well, losing Adebisi is not going to be that big a deal. We still got a lot of wild cards in this show, but we've all of a sudden decided to kind of tame all of our wild cards at this moment. Like, O'Reilly's not doing fucking anything. Like, Beecher's not doing anything. Schillinger is not doing anything. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, it's just the show has no spark, and like, I could at least say that about Oz, and like, now I can't. Like, I don't. Like,
you don't love Omar Little? He's stabbing guys left and right.
Who cares about this?
Oh my gosh, Omar Little. Oh. And there's a death that happens this next episode that makes D'Angelo's hanging way more probable. When Alvarez grabs that guy when they're in a knife situation and he's able to just walk around him, grab him, and just slice his neck, I was sitting there, I'm like, why didn't he just stick his neck out? What are we talking about? Like,
I mean, he was just going to the cafeteria. He wasn't expecting to fight anybody.
Yeah, and what the fuck? How is Alvarez with the most bodies of any Oz inmate that people have died under other people's hands that no one knows about? Every person that Alvarez has ever killed, somebody has seen, watched, looked at. How is this fucker, 1, not on death row, 2, not in solitary confinement for the rest of his life? He clearly can't play well with others, but he's just allowed to go stab people left, right, and center. It's crazy.
He gets really sick when he gets put in solitary.
I hate that motherfucker. I hate him.
All right, so we'll just jump right into it here. Season 4, episode 12, Cuts Like a Knife, directed by Steve Buscemi. He's back. I think this is the second episode he's done.
I'm sorry, buddy. The worst episode so far of Oz.
So the warden tells Alvarez to get results or go back to solitary. Morales doesn't like Alvarez's double agent idea. Alvarez talks to Redding to see if he can help take out Morales. Redding declines. Alvarez has a confrontation with just some random guy and ends up killing him. So then he gets sent back
Yeah,
to
a guy we've
solitary.
never met. He didn't even get a 2-second intro video of why he's in there. We just saw him and he died
Yeah,
instantly.
because he was like, you just wait till this other guy gets better, then we're going to get you. And I was like, well, I'm just going to take you out now then.
No, give me your neck.
But yeah, so he gets sent back to solitary and finds a way to make a shitty situation even worse. With his redecorating of his solitary cell, but hopefully that's the last of him for this episode. Riverdale tells Norma that the mole is in solitary and he's able to talk the warding into letting the mole out. McManus trying to get the drug program stopped. Oh, the experimental drug.
Yeah,
I was thinking drugs. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
He's the most logical of everybody.
Yep. And we find out that the drug is actually working on Cyril, who has somehow aged within minutes.
You are not just going to pass over on that shit. O'Reilly wakes up and stretches his little bit. Oh no, man! You're like, oh, maybe he's got a bone break, and then they turn Cyril around, and this motherfucker looks like one of those characters that you in Halloween where you get the white spray paint and just spray paint it on your hair to make sure you look a little older, and he's got no wrinkles whatsoever, but they try to make wrinkles. Steve Buscemi had to be sitting in that chair, but I don't know what the fuck you're doing here, but this is fucking stupid as shit. But hey, I'll do it. And he rolls over, and you're like, oh my god, he's getting older. The fuck he is? What? I was so angry.
But then pretty much the next scene we see one of the other participants just suddenly drops dead from his taking the pills.
Hilarious.
Blood in just the smack on the table. It's like, oh, okay.
So I think at that point they kind of put the experiment on hold. And there's actually a sweet scene where Ryan kind of sings Cyril to sleep in one of the songs that their mother used to sing them. I thought that was a little sweet scene. But yeah. Leroy has infiltrated the Muslims. He tries to kill Saeed in his sleep, but he can't go through with it. Let's see. Omar meets Jackson Vehu, and he feels insulted. He's worried that he doesn't impress people, so he decides to stab McManus. So Omar is now a good guy in my book, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Lieutenant Daniels is forced to visit, his partner is forced to visit with him. She doesn't forgive him, but she promises to forget him. The refugees, again, it feels like this whole storyline, they're just kind of wheeled out when they need them, and then they kind of vanish the rest of the time. Because I know in the first episode, they had their bunks, in a little area, and then you don't really ever see them again until they're needed for something in the storyline.
Yeah.
Jaya?
Oh, yeah. The Asians got moved out, didn't they?
Not yet. That happens a little bit later on in this episode.
But we barely see them, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think there's one scene where there's a couple of them were bunked in with some of the prisoners and stuff. But yeah, it was. So yeah, the person who's responsible for their boat being, I guess, caught or whatever, he shows up at the prison, and one of the immigrants tells him that in order to redeem himself, he needs to kill Morales for what Morales did to their friend. And now the refugees are being deported back to China. So I guess we'll see where that goes from there. Supreme Allah is out of solitary, and we find out that he has a history with Redding. And Redding tells Hill that Allah was the one that ratted on him, resulting in his life sentence and his paralysis. So into one of the scenes that Cody had mentioned earlier, Hill decides to attack Allah in the shower, which doesn't really work out so well for him.
Arguably one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. He rolled at him in a wheelchair and got pushed and kicked the shit out of him. Bro, your legs don't work. I don't know if anybody's told you.
And probably one of the worst places to attack somebody in wheelchairs in the shower, where the water, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of traction.
Yes. Buddy, you're at chest level. He can just beat you down and hold your head. You're not doing anything to his chest. It was crazy. I was sitting there dumbfounded. I was like, Oh God, Hill! Like you could roll up behind him and stab him at a better spot than just fighting him naked in the shower. Again, I think they just need to meet a dick quota in this one. So,
But yeah, so then Allah kind of threatens Keller and Ryan that he kind of knows that they were actually behind the killing that he got thrown into solitary for. And then in the visiting room, Method Man stabs him. So that's kind of that for this story this week. Timmy Kirk has turned his back on the Catholic Church and Father Ray in order to join Luke Perry. Luke Perry baptizes him. Then we go, Beecher and Schillinger are continuing their meetings, but it is interrupted so that the warden can inform Schillinger that Hank has been killed, which sends them off on a whole rampage. One of the Aryans stabs Beecher's brother while Beecher's visiting with his daughter.
Yeah, fucking cops can't be anywhere. Like even civilians can't be protected in this place.
You would think like the one area where there'd be a bunch of prison guards would be like the visiting area, but apparently not. Beecher tells him
the one guy gets stabbed, Supremo Law gets stabbed there, and then him just like, okay.
Yeah, you're right. Especially a guy was just stabbed earlier in the episode, and now you would think they would have increased.
What's the likelihood of it happening again? Not likely.
Lightning doesn't strike twice.
Again, you can just free roam in Oz. Like, oh, I don't have anybody visiting. I'm just going to be visiting. Hey, are you Beecher's brother? Yeah, stab. Like, hey, Beecher's brother, why don't you not respond? Like,
but yeah, so Beecher tells his dad to take his daughter away, and Beecher just decides that he's just going to let Schillinger kill him in order to end the war. But before he can do that, Keller knocks him out. Keller goes to Luke Perry and tells him he needs to convince Schillinger that he's the one that ordered the Hank hit, not Beecher. And then Keller lies, confessing to the Hank hit. Schillinger and Beecher declare a truce. And before being sent away to Massachusetts, Sister Pete tells Keller that God has finally chosen him. And with Keller promising that they'll meet again in one place or another, Beecher and Keller say goodbye. And that's the end of the episode.
Again, spoiler, but is Keller off the show now?
He's off for a little. I think he comes back in the last season.
Oh, God. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're taking all these good characters and just throwing them out. Like, we get to keep Alvarez, but we lose Keller. Like, dude, I would trade 7 Alvarez's for 1 Keller. Like, you can't give me any good. It's just this again. These episodes are so like convoluted. Like, we have to give Schillinger is just able to just like forget about it right away, not do anything extra.
Well, it's because he's reading the Bible again and everything, so he wants to believe and forgive and forget. So
yeah, fuck off. Like, God doesn't love you. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. He has no place for you. It's just crazy where we're all like at in the show. It's all the episode, it seems like all the character work that we've developed. Like, sure, Nathan and O'Reilly, like they were heading down a path, right? Like it seemed like they were like, she's gonna risk it all for him. But now like he acts like a dick to her, like right away, tells her to fuck you. That's not how that storyline's supposed to develop. Like it was heading towards a path. She thought he raped her. He thought she set up the rape. She did all the stuff, did all the therapy. He killed her, and now she's like they're not. One, Nathan should agree to take Cyril off the nation if she loves O'Reilly in any form, and O'Reilly shouldn't say, "Look at fuck you." Like what? Like that's not how that's supposed to be. Like build up the comedy routine between Reba Dow and fucking the mole. Like this Abbott and Costello bit. Like we're digging another hole. Motherfuckers dug 2 of them. How does he not have a weekly check on it? But we're the audience. We're supposed to just be stupid with it. He's marrying this woman as a force. Even Saeed, they neutered Saeed by season 3 and have never let him back out of his cage. Like we've lost Crazy Beecher years ago, like at this point, seasons ago. Like this show just has no like where I'm like, oh, I'm interested to see where this goes. I just honestly end it. Like, and it's crazy because we are 2 full seasons away from ending it. So it's wild. It's just sad because the show for the first 3.5 seasons is fine. Like there's bad moments, there's good moments, but it's overall enjoyable. It right now. These 3 episodes were hard to get through, and I'm
I
not
have to
looking forward
believe
to the
it's going
season
to pick
finale.
back up in the last season. I feel like the rest of this season, probably the next season, are going to be tough for us to get through. But I think it'll pick back up again in the last season. So we'll see.
Oh, I hope. No, do you got anything, Mark?
I mean, listen, it's really bad. I don't like it. Just it like we kind of cover. It's as bad as it's been. And I mean, Matt, like you say like, oh, the like could go like we could pick back up, but the thing is, like, we're 40 episodes in. We are deep into this show. There's only 20 left. Like this is what it is. This is kind of where we're at, and like I know, like we kind of talk shit about Alvarez the whole time, but honestly, like I think Alvarez, his whole story, I think is kind of the pitch perfect thing to use to explain what's wrong with it. It's like because him being a rat for the warden, I don't think on its head is a terrible story idea. I think you could actually do something with it, but they give up. They give up on it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They just send him back to solitary and like, okay, we're gonna do Alvarez going crazy again. Like, really?
It's like they have no idea what they want to do with that character at all. So they're just like, just do that this week.
Fucking kill him.
Like
He's had 3 attempts. Kill him.
Yeah, they just like they are spinning their wheels like fucking crazy. They just have no idea what to do with anybody right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Matt, great job. On your recap, we are now on to Breaking Bad. So episode starts, season episode 4, bullet points. Mike is in the back of the truck, the frozen truck, basically, where they're basically. I think he knows they know a hit's coming, so they put him in the back to watch it happen. They start loading up the truck, shooting at it. It catches Mike in the ear, but he's able to open it and kill them off outside the 2 gunmen. I still think it's hilarious that Mike, like, just the anger of Mike's face when he's got like half an ear, like half the top of his ear, and tries to like push it over, like, and let it stick, and like it doesn't do it. Great moment. Skylar's trying to teach Walt to count cards because they're going to reveal the story to Hank and the group tonight. And they're role playing and doing all that, being the greatest like routine of all time. Hank and them go into the room to talk about, like, show him the gyms that he's sitting in. He goes, "Oh, by the way, I have to show you this." Puts on a video, and it's Gail Bedecker singing on it, which sends Walt, like, faces like, "Oh shit, like this is where we're at." They're sitting there talking about the gambling stuff and how he's like thing. Walt tries to like go into the room and like get into the files and stuff to see like if any of his shit's apparently there. Hank cuts him off at the door. Doesn't really know anything's going on. Walt says, "Hey, if you need me to like look at anything or help you, like," and Hank, like, vice versa, like, "If you need anything, like, we can work on this. Yeah, if you need any help on the case stuff or stuff, I can help you with it." Basically, just wants to see the notes. He ends up. It's one of my favorite scenes because, again, it pays off near the end. But he sits there and is like, "You're my star." What the poem at the end is like. And he goes,
WW, yeah.
WW, and he goes, Woodrow Wilson, Willy Wonka, Walter White, and Walt just like, "You got me." It's just one of like the guy that basically, while you're in that wheelchair right now, why you got shot, why you went on this obsession, you are sitting eye to eye with Heisenberg as you speak, and he has no clue. They couldn't be any farther apart right now.
And I just love that there's several scenes like that too, and Walt never lies about it. He's always honest, because like the scene where he's helping him move out and he's got the bag of money. He's like, "What's in this bag?" He's like, $500,000.
And he's like, "You're funny." And he's like, "Walter White, you got me. You did. He has you right there. He just has no evidence to put it on there." Walt basically goes over to Jesse's house and like tries to shake him back to like reality, like he, because he is having these ragers and these parties. I'm trying to remember, Paul. What happens at the Saul meeting with Walt? They sit down and have a lengthy conversation. Is that about the car wash stuff still?
I think it's a little bit about the car wash stuff and a little bit about just kind of like Walter's situation where he's afraid they're going to try to kill him still and that sort of thing. And Saul was like, they're not coming for me, right?
Yeah, basically telling him all the stuff about the money. Walt is having to cook. Basically, him and Jesse are like basically diametrically opposed in these episodes. They're not really like close, working together, working very limited. Mike shows up at the crack house and basically takes Jesse. He's. Gosh, am I having a hard problem with this episode?
Because didn't somebody like steal Jesse's money?
Oh, he steals the money. He goes, "Don't you want to know?" And he's like, "Thanks," and like walks up the stairs. So he's basically like, it's giving him like fear that he just is reckless. Like he's unbothered now. Like, and Mike has a sit down with Gus and be like, he's not breaking. Like he's a guy with have nothing to lose is a scary thing to have. And they basically have how the episode ends. He's calling him, trying to figure out where Jesse is. Jesse doesn't show up to cook. He goes to the house. He leaves. He gets on the phone, calls nothing, and he gets in front of the camera and does the Walt, "Where is he?" And then the next scene is Jesse and Mike driving out of town in the car together. A good episode. Overall good episode. I think like that scene alone with Hank and Walt in the room is really, really strong. And basically, I like where the next direction goes between Hank and Jesse. That kind of partnership that gets formed. Kind of putting Walt on the outside. But I really enjoy that. What's your guys' takes on that episode?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good episode. I feel like we kind of got spoiled by the last two episodes of the last season, just like going out with just those high moments. And these episodes, we know there's some high moments coming up, and these are kind of the episodes we got to get. They're really good episodes, but they're just not at that level. And we know we're getting through them to get to where the story's going to go. One of my favorite parts of this episode was with Hank and Walter, where Hank has been giving Marie such a hard time about these minerals and stuff. But then as soon as Hank tries to show off with Junior about the minerals, Walt walks in and schools him on the minerals and everything. And that's when he switches over to the investigation stuff. It's like, I'll go back to something where I know what's up.
Right.
I feel like even with this season, I think even the setup stuff is starting to happen more quickly. Like, because I mean, just I'll be like, as I thought I remember Shotgun being later in the season, and it's episode 5. Like, and I remember that's kind of like, it feels kind of early, and we're kind of getting in the groove really quickly, and we're kind of matching or kind of having these interesting character pairings. It's like, I think especially with season 4, like, just things are just way more off and running than they were. And like, I think just kind of we're just kind of like in a straightaway shot with Breaking Bad by this point.
It's filler, like it's setup, but it doesn't feel like traditional setup. Like every action has a point and a movement. Like instead of like the Fly, where it's like, oh, we're building the tension between the two of them. Overall, this one is like every little thing has a moment. Like Mike showing up to Jesse's house multiple times. It like pays off the very next episode, um, which is Shotgun. My Walt basically drives to Los Pollos and is like demanding to talk to Gus and like pocket in hand, like gun in present with him standing there. They do a really good job with the music in the scene, like tensing the tension. Like the truck pulls up, like Hank, Walt may think that, and then the call comes in from Mike. What are you doing, Walter? And it's like, he's with me. Cross my heart, Walter. I promise nothing's bad. Jesse's right here. What? Like basically, Mike's taking him on runs to collect the money. Like that's what is happening. And it kind of seemed like overall, like trying to like get Jesse out of the situation, which he kind of describes later. Hank, Hank's the homicide detective comes back to like talk to him about what he's saying. It's like, yeah, Heisenberg. They show a picture of Victor, basically the one that was at the scene, but like no other ties. Believe that could be the Heisenberg that they were looking for. Kind of just turned over the case there. No real issue. He's like, yeah, that's what I would assume. Mike and Jesse have like some all-time like moments in this, like working together. Like I love the scene where it's like, you're not the guy. You're not capable of being the guy. Like you don't know what you're doing. It's not your call. Like all the stuff, like those scenes. Uh, it's like I do what I'm told. You're gonna do what you're told. Just sit there and shut up. Basically, it's great scenes. Walt has having to cook by himself. Basically, um, Skylar and they get they do the money deal or whatever for the car wash. Skylar and Walt have happy bought a car wash sex. So yay for them. Uh, Walt goes back to cooking. He can't operate a forklift. He's the forklift guy. The guy comes down, helps him with the forklift. Jesse is about to get ambushed in the parking lot. He drives back to get away from the situation. Mike like runs after him. Jesse ends up picking him up, like, oh, I'm sorry. Like they were coming at me with a shotgun. He's like, no, you did good. You did good. You can smoke. You can do that stuff. No big deal. And then Jesse's back to cook. He shows back up and cooks with Walt. Walt's like, gets the information, like what happened. Like we just did runs. We almost got attacked. And then Mike and Gus have a conversation. He was made to be the hero. Like it did exactly. So the setup, the guy coming to rob him was Gus's plan, to kind of like, because they did not keep following him. Jesse was able to get away from the situation. It's said pretty clearly, like what ended up happening. So I think that's brilliant. I think he said you made him out to be the hero, and then Gus is like, "Do you want to know anything?" He's like, "I don't want like even if I had questions, like I know I wouldn't get the answer." Or like he says something to him about like not asking the questions that he already knows the answers to. And then oh gosh. There's a party at Hank's house. They're drinking wine. Walt's getting drunk, basically. They're talking about the car wash. They're talking all the situations. And then Hank starts talking about Gail Bedecker, calling him a genius, calling him like the chef, the king thing. And Walt goes, there's a lot of writing down. Looks like copy, and looks like the guy might still be out there. And cut away, Hank sitting at the table, opening the files and going back into it. giving it one more look. And he's like, all this stuff is this guy's organic and vegan and base. What's he doing with fried chicken? And that's the clue, and it ends right there. Oh, Walt's ego is just something.
The villain of the show.
The villain of the show. You gotta get him back in the case, and this is how you literally, to quote Frank Costello, get a whiff of my ass, he'll crawl right inside. Basically, exactly what happened. So, what are your guys' takes on that? Shotgun.
Yeah, this was a good one. Yeah, I mean, I really love the whole Mike and Jesse relationship, and it really starts. You start seeing it get developed in this episode, and this one, the next couple episodes, you kind of get to see Mike kind of almost starting to look out for Jesse a little bit, kind of reminding him maybe of his son and stuff a little bit. So I think that's really good, and that develops Walter's ego. It just.
And it's
so many times.
It's on full display next episode.
And of course, Gus always has a plan, and I think that was a master stroke, kind of getting Jesse, because he's been just feeling like shit for like the so far this season after having
basically keeping him off drugs. Is basically
yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah, so like I said, just giving him a morale boost, giving him something to do where he feels like he's serving a purpose, other than just being kind of Walter's little helper there. So I think that was a really good idea on his part. And yeah, solid episode.
Yeah, no, very good. I really love the Mike and Jesse pairing. It works so well. Especially since I think just because the way they built Jesse up as a character, it shouldn't work because we know who Jesse is. Like, he is kind of like this fuck up guy, but I think we've noticed a number of times when I think we give Jesse like a little opportunity, just kind of maybe be a little good. He does seem to kind of take it on some level. And this is him just kind of taking advantage of that. And then you throw the fact that Gus just orchestrating all this, like it's just even though like he does it and it kind of brings some good out in Jesse, just the manipulation that is on display, especially where it eventually leads, is so genius. And of course, I mean, it's every great hero, or I guess in this case, villain, needs to have their Achilles heel. And Walter has his fucking ego, man. It continues to get the fucking better of him. He would have been A-okay, and like, nope. Just has to get Hank back on the case. Wake the bloodhound. What a goddamn idiot.
Every criminal has that one hiccup that gets them back into being caught, and Walt just did his basically. Yeah, it's brilliant. Next episode starts. Basically, two guys are in the Pollo's truck. What a genius! They hear there's two guys armed inside. They hear gunshots on the outside. They basically lock the door from the outside. They kill the driver, lock the door from the outside, basically put the fumes from the exhaust or whatever into the bed of the truck, lock the door, and let them just suffocate and die inside there while they eat the trucker's lunch. And they end up taking one. They take the one with meth. They know which one it is. They take the one thing and they take it out.
It's crazy that whole truck, there was only one container with the meth. Which, I mean, I guess I understand it, but how many trucks do they have shipping out of that place?
How much did they say? 3 pounds of meth?
I think something like that, yeah.
Which I guess they serve a lot. I don't know how many's in the thing, but yeah, I guess just in case that one truck doesn't get like they have it spread.
Well, Jesse, I don't mean to interrupt. Jesse said earlier he was wholesaling at $40,000 a pound, so that's probably $100,000 inside that one can. So
I guess, yeah.
Probably just portion control. Don't trust any driver to like take it, just in case they start digging around in it and then find
That's why Gus is a criminal mastermind, and I would get caught within a week.
I would say memed, but also one of my best scenes in any show right now. Episode 6 gets cornered. That happens, and then Skylar basically talks to Walt in the morning when he wakes up and says, "Did you work with Gail Bedecker?" Well, what did I say last night? You were drunk and you talked about it, and you got Hank like curious about the situation. And Skylar, being the trying to help her wife, we need to stop justifying this. We need to just admit that we're in danger. Who do you think you're talking to right now? Who do you think you see? And just when he goes on the "I'm the danger" rant is just all-time cinema. He's like, my job, if I stop doing what I did, it's big enough to be on the NASDAQ, would belly up tomorrow. You think a guy opens the door and gets shot and that's me? I'm the danger. I'm the one who knocks. It's the first glimpse that Skylar sees Heisenberg in front of her. Like, really Heisenberg. Like, this man, and one, we all have to just admit, this man talks a big fucking game. But he does a call to get a hit. He kills 2 guys that he already hits with the car. But this man has not been a ruthless killer at any point yet. But he believes in his head that he is this big. Like, he does not see. What do you mean? Gail dies because it's Gail. I don't die. Like, I'm going to die from cancer. I'm not going to die at the hands of anybody else. He gets in the shower. He just reacts like nothing bad. Skylar gets the fuck out of Dodge. She is gone. He has no idea. God, this episode it's called Cornered, but he could literally call it Ego. Because the next thing is he goes to the car wash. He's walking around with, I don't know the character. I forgot the character's name, but he keeps saying as is, like everything's there. It's like, oh, sticky drawer, as is. And then he's walking to it and he goes, sometimes you have to wash cars and clean it even when you don't want to, like all this stuff. But, as is. He's leaving. He's like, oh, I've almost forgot my first $1. And he's like, as is. Takes the $1 from him and crashes it, breaks the glass, and uses it to buy a soda. It's just like one of the most.
That's not ego. That's pettiness right there.
That's petty, but he just rubs it in. Basically, Mike and them are still on the trip. They're like having lunch. He's noticing Jesse's like having withdrawals, basically, is what I take that as. I don't know if anybody took it as anything else. He's nervous is there probably, but he's there. Walt Jr. has information about like why Skylar's gone, but like Walt's clueless, like doesn't know where she is or when she'll be back. He's curious. So Walt is going to do what Walt's going to do and going to buy his son a fucking Charger. Challenger. I'm a car guy, but whatever. It's one of the Dodges, Charger, or Challengers. But he buys her one of that. Well, Skylar's done a really good job of trying to like make sure the money makes sense and everything is balancing out and blah blah. Yeah, just buy a fucking new car. Cool, sounds great. Goes there and he's like, we're about to. Jesse's there. He's like, you're here to cook. Like you're gonna actually cook with me. Like this is the plan. Aside to talk. And Walt it doesn't make sense to Walt about the situation that happened. Like, how long were they there? How long did they follow you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it has to do with me. I think that's the line he says. And Jesse just has just walks away as angry as possible. Like, it's all about me is what he says. And he's just like, you fucking, like, I almost died. Like, I could have died, all the stuff. Jesse has to leave the cooking process before the cleaning's done. So what does Walt do? Walt goes upstairs and grabs the cleaning ladies, pays the money, and gets them to go down there and help him clean which is a big no-no. Skylar goes to the 4 points of the states that connect each other, basically flips a coin, and still pulls it down to New Mexico. Like still, like it went to Colorado or whatever.
She
and
flips it a
she
couple
still-
times.
yeah, it still goes back there. So she's coming back. Mike and Jesse like go through one of the funniest scenes, honestly, but like thing. So they're doing a stakeout because they say the meth has been taken from them. That's where they have the meth, the blue meth. So Jesse's like, I'm not going to sit here and just watch them come out. Like, I'll just go in there because he knows how meth head works. He goes, tries to buy money from Trevor. The guy's like, not buying, won't sell to strangers, and then he's like, I need something in the trunk. It's like, what? I know how to get them outside. Motherfucker goes to the front yard, starts digging. The meth head Trevor comes out and starts he's like, what are you doing? How far are you gonna go? Like interested. He's like, hey, do you mind if you just take over for me real quick? Can I go use your bathroom inside? He's like, sure. Fucking Trevor's just still digging, probably to this day still digging. And then he goes in there and his buddy, the other guy, his brother or whatever, has a shotgun. And he's like flipping out. He's like, hey, I heard you're selling. I don't have enough for all Trevor's stupid friends, like all the stuff. Like ends up getting himself like thing. Jesse ends up taking him out, so they end up like getting it. And on the lid of the stuff is, can we talk, right? Or do I have your attention?
Can we talk now or something like that?
Can we talk now? Basically a message to Gus. Like it's left there. It's clearly there to leave to her. They only took one, which I don't know if there is only one, but they made sure they just took one because I think that's the situation. Like there's multiple, but like they only took one to just draw the message, like, and just gave it away because they don't want any involvement. Poor ladies are getting sent back, like getting put on a bus because Gus, and he goes, tell Gus he can just blame me. He does. Basically,
I mean, they're lucky that Gus didn't walk down there with a box cutter while they were helping him clean. So,
right. Jesse and Hank are sitting at the diner. Basically, can you excuse us? Gus sits down, tells him about the message that was sent to him. He said, give me like 10 or 15 guys. Like, we will clear this situation up for you. Gus walks out, looks at Jesse and goes, I hear you're doing or like you're doing a good job or whatever the situation was. And leaves him there. And then Walt and Jesse, Skylar comes home, basically has a conversation about the car. Like, what are you doing? Like, and then the line, someone has to protect this family from the guy that protects this family. Mm-hmm. And just like episode, like, so good. Like this show is so good for me. I just, what were your guys' overall? And like we're watching 4 episodes next week, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're about to just accelerate. Like we're off. So, what are you guys' takes?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really good episode. It's got one of the most famous monologues from the show, the whole "I'm the one who knocks" thing. It's really good, and of course, it keeps building up the Mike and Jesse relationship, and just I love that Walt knows how Gus thinks. He's able to put Gus's whole plan with Jesse together in like minutes. Of course, he makes it all about himself again, but he figured it out real quick. And of course, that's just pretty much what Gus wants, because now it's going to just drive that wedge between him and Jesse further and further apart. So I thought that was great. And in the end, too, the whole thing with the Skylar, pretty much she's going to have to be the bad guy again to make Junior hate her about sending the car back so they can keep up with their story. So I thought that was good. I feel like this is still Skylar's still in the part where I'm okay with her and her actions. I think she's doing the right thing, but maybe not necessarily flipping that coin multiple times. She could have took that first flip and just got out of Dodge. But yeah. good stuff. And like you said, it's only gonna ramp up from here. The rest of the season's gonna get crazy.
Yeah. Cornered is always an episode I kind of forget exists in this season because we're about to get into the meat here. The second half of this season just kind of rolls. And we have Cornered here that's smack in the middle and has so many great moments. I mean, we mentioned the I am the danger monologue. Fantastic. Have, Mike and Jesse still doing their thing. Jesse knows how to deal with meth heads, great scene. And then, we got another reason to hate Skylar. Yeah, she was, going to take off, but I guess, Flynn can fend for himself. He's just got a year and then he'll be off to college. But, the baby needs.
She would have come back for him after school,
Okay. Good. Yeah, all right. But no, I mean, listen, as far as the scheduling was concerned, I think I had us marked for 3 before, but I realized, no, we got Salute coming up after that. We're going to make sure we get to Salute next week.
We could do 2 episodes of Oz. We need to get that one in.
we are ahead of the game in Oz. You know what? We can pump the brakes a little bit.
Okay, that's my part of the show. So pass it to the police procedural.
Okay. There is a lot of stuff that happened.
Yes.
And we're gonna do our best, and we're just gonna get rolling. Start off, we got episode 10, season 3, Reformation. Gonna start off here with the political story. Not a ton happens political side. Really, Tommy is just starting to strategize his mayoral run. And he also is coming to grips with the fact that he has to kind of screw over Tony. He has to have Tony run so that he has a chance to win. He doesn't feel great about it. He even kind of voices that to his wife. I don't feel good about screwing Tony over, but he has no shot. Even if he were to run by himself, he has no shot. So we kind of already see Tony developing into this kind of colder politician going forward. Moving over to Cuddy, a little bit of movement on Cuddy's story. He has got his gym built up. He's ready to start taking kids. He heads over to the free zone, goes to Carver and say, "Hey, I'm starting up a gym. These kids are interested in fighting." Puts on a little free clinic on the streets, taps one kid on the cheek, and he's like, "You know what? You guys want to learn more? You head over to my gym." What do you know? They actually show up, and he's starting to teach them some stuff. And one of the kids, they got a little smart with him, and he steps up and "Listen up, motherfuckers! What? Are you gonna hit a kid?" And of course, Cuddy knows better. Realizes he kind of fucked up. Heads over to that other gym owner we saw before. It's like, "Hey man, they're acting all nuts. I don't know what to do." He's like, "Listen, man, you just gotta be there. You gotta be there for them, and sooner or later, they're not gonna know how to handle that because they're just kind of who they are, and eventually they'll trust you." And that's essentially what he does. Goes back to the streets, apologizes to the kid, and he ends up showing back up at the gym. So I think Cuddy may actually have some hope here. May actually kind of cut it as a coach. Now we're going to get into the meat of the episode, starting off with the Wire crew. They are waiting to put up a wire on the burner phones, and they can't until they're sure of which phone Bodhi is, even though they may dump those phones at any moment. Rhonda and Daniels go to Phelan to see what he can do. We see Phelan really working his game with Rhonda, he's thirsty as hell. Bodhi finally uses his phone on his grandma, so they get the wire up and they type up the affidavits, get them signed to kind of get things rolling on that end. And then there's also this kind of fun moment. Daniels asked Lester if he ever felt Prez harbored any racial prejudices against him. Sitting there, Prez was a weird ass dude. Probably wasn't a racist, or at least we didn't think so. Oh yeah, also that thing about McNulty's date. He didn't feel good about it going bad. I had to voice that over to Kima. And they got the wire up, and it was only open for a day. Dumped their phones. They lost the network. Everybody's all pissed. But Lester and McNulty get themselves a crazy idea. Like, hey, what if we just get a bunch of old burner phones and we just sell them the wire? Could we do that? Even though it's probably not, legal. There's
no precedent on it. Let's just write the precedent right now, buddy, and this will lose in the appellate. We'll let the appeals court deal with it. I love it.
Yeah, and we see Rhonda pull a fatal attraction to get to get that wire. No, so they're working on that. They working on Bubbles, try to see if they get a line to kind of pull the ruse. Bunny actually gets some information about a confidential informant about possibly Ravens. That he gives it to Jimmy. This is probably a little bit of a peek ahead of time here, a little bit, but we'll get to that soon. Also, there was also a moment McNulty breaks several traffic laws to say hi to who he thought was B.D. Russell, and he just looks like a total asshole in that moment. Bubbles is able to intercept Bernard's girlfriend, able to get her on the hook, have Lester pose as this kind of small time criminal, kind of saying, hey, this is how I built my burner network. They use the girl who's also helping with the wire to kind of set up like this facade, so they were able to sell like a bunch of tap phones to Avon and his crew. So now they have built a more substantial burner network. Going on the Western District, try to go through this quickly. Bunny brings in Carver. Say, listen, man, I like that you shown your loyalty to me. Shows a lot, but you really suck as a police officer, man. Like, you just like every time I go to you for information, you got nothing. You arrest a bunch of people, cool, but you don't know anything. All these young people don't know anything, and basically has a monologue about how the war on drugs is a bunch of bullshit. And at the end of that, Bunny learns that the newspapers know about the free zone. Carver's tip is able to get over to them, and Bunny heads over there, try to kind of stop the bleeding. He's able to reassure him that it was sanctioned by the city and there will be mass arrests. But the newspaper guy's like, hey, I can only hold off for about a week. So Bunny uses the good time. You know what? I'll just go ahead, come clean to command at the next Comstat meeting. We'll see what happens. And as he's explaining it, the leaders cannot believe what they are hearing. There's one guy who's like, what do you mean you elected not to make a priority? And Rawls is like, dude, he made drugs legal. That's what he did. Like, you're hearing this right, all right. So they pull him aside, and they are, of course, upset at Bunny. Bunny tells him he'll agree to fall on the sword as long as none of his people are fucked with. And
okay,
yeah, what you got?
Okay, so this is how this, and I know Mark hates this, but this is how it falls into a police procedural, right? Where this guy's just going to stand up there and announce this stuff. Now, I understand why he's announcing it, right? Because the report is coming. Like, he has to clear the air. But it's arguably one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. You did what? Like, wait a minute. And then Rawls goes, you made drugs legal. Like, you basically, we just didn't enforce it. My office now, like, what? Like, well, you told us to worry about homicides. You never said anything about drugs. Like, that wasn't directive. It was just, it's where the show is so funny to me because when he's just saying, "My God," it's like the "My God," yeah, like he just let drugs go, like he didn't care, which I still thought was one of the most fucking weird things. And I love that they concluded in these 3 episodes basically of how fucked the situation. How did you let it get this fucked? Like, wait a minute. He started it. No one checked in and saw 14% and just said, yeah, that sounds right.
I love that everyone sees the 14% is like, is there a way maybe we could make this work somehow?
Yeah, the mayor's like, no, you're going to have to fall on the sword, but maybe, just maybe, we make this work.
Well, yeah, well, there, but yeah. Well, it does go with the mayor. You guys are right, but yeah, it's just everything that happens like from this moment on in Amsterdam is maybe some of the funniest pieces of television. Like it just I can't believe that's kind of where they went. Even though and it is funny. Even though The Wire, it's kind of built its show on being kind of hyper realistic, and they have this storyline which seemingly doesn't fit, but it does feel like the way everybody tries to deal with it does feel like something like it just like kind of a low down mayor would try to make it work. He's like, no, but my crime is down. Like it's gonna look so good going forward. Anyway.
Yeah, crazy.
Moving on, last bit of here, we got basically the street side of this. Avon Marlowe war rages on. Yeah, again, the streets getting bloodier by the minute, but then Brother Mozo pops back up. He's back in town, and he's looking for Omar. He's trying to, get at the guy who put a bullet in his gut. Omar, at the same time, is going to Butchie, trying to get some information on Avon. He tells him he's over there at the funeral parlor. So, of course, Omar heads over there, scoping it out, try to figure out his next move against Stringer. Stringer, though, is dealing with his problems. He's being told by Prop Joe, like, hey, you're going to be cut out the package if Avon doesn't cut this shit out. Like, we're getting police on our ass. Bodies are being dropped all over. We're dealing with a whole bunch of shit that we don't need to be dealing with. Then, as that's going on, Marlowe wasn't too pleased with that woman trying to honeypot him. So, he puts a couple bullets in her chest, calls it a day. Stringer goes to beg Dave on.
Sticks right in her mouth, too.
Oh, yeah. Sent a real message. Stringer begs Avon to quit the shit, but of course, Avon gets a word that he killed the honeypot woman, so no chance of that. We're not ending this anytime soon. Brother Mozone sends his assistant Lamar to a bunch of gay clubs in the area, try to find Omar. He of course makes everybody in the bar uncomfortable because he just can't hide it the whole time. He's just going over there, just
raging homophobe, like just doesn't care. Just
Stringer is starting to look for alternatives. We see him make a call to the police. So see this whole thing with Bunny. Whole thing with Bunny, maybe his informant is possibly Stringer Bell. Not 100% sure, but highly likely. He also decided to get Levy on to check his dealings with the developers and Clay Davis, see if anything fishy going on. He's sped up. Of course, this was just kind of a funny thing that I thought was kind of neat. In one of the bars Lamar goes to, just in the background, we just see Rawls hanging out. Just like, oh yeah, just gonna point out, yeah, Rawls is gay. Just saying, he's here at these gay.
Maybe explain why he's always upset all the time.
And of course, last one he goes to, Omar's ex-boyfriend / partner is in there. He follows him out. He's gonna, hold up Lamar at gunpoint. Brother walks up behind him, smashes him in the head, and clearly gonna use this as a way to flush out Omar. That was the end of Reformation. It's really fucking good. We're building up pretty nicely. It just the whole stuff with we've already beat Amsterdam to death. like them pulling like this weird operation to sell the Avon and his crew the burner phones was just fantastic. Want to know if you guys have anything else to add here?
No, I think it's a great episode.
Yeah, definitely. I did like that when Stringer went to go see Avon, he sees that they got grenades and stuff now. They're really getting ready to take this war to the next level. But yeah, no, this is a fantastic episode. All the Amsterdam stuff has been great this whole season. But now that it's finally come to a head and it's out there, and we get to see the repercussions of everything. Yeah, great.
Now, I will start out this because we're getting into middle ground. Like in The Wire has a lot of great cold opens. This is probably the best one. We just kind of start off where Omar and brother meet up on the street, and it looks like they're about to gun each other down at that moment right there.
If there's a better one, then I would be very surprised. Like, it is literally, I'm not saying, like I always say this, like I'm not saying Gus from Breaking Bad was inspired by, what's the bow tie guy's name?
Brother Mazone.
Brother Malzone.
But it, like, you get like characteristics from Gus, like in him, like how he reacts to stuff, how he interacts with people. It's just like perfect. And then like Omar's like, bro, I ain't going nowhere. Like, you think I'm scared? You think I can't hit you from right here, like where I'm standing? Like, I got a good shot to put it.
This range, this caliber, even if I miss you, I can't miss.
Yeah, I'll empty my whole clip before you get your few out. Like, it's just like, dang.
Mm-hmm.
Probably want to start out there, but just kind of go through this real quick. Going in on Cuddy's story a little bit, just because I think it's a nice guy. He finally has kids showing up. They're training, but he's got a bunch of fucking equipment that just kind of sucks. Yeah, goes over to Bodie, sees if he can meet up with Avon. Ends up seeing if he wants to donate money to his gym, get him in his Gold Circle Club. Put his name up on the thing. A bunch of things that Avon is really super interested in. He asks him for 10,000. He laughs in his face and like really he's gonna come on his hands and knees for 10 grand. Gives him 15 right on the spot. Super funny scene.
That might be one of my favorite Avon scenes in the whole show.
He's able to get his boys this equipment. They're kind of anxious to get in actual fights. They're starting to feel like big shit. Cuddy's able to get in the ear of this that other gym, get some of their boys. They start a little sparring session. With his kids looking a little rough, but they were able to get through it. He's able to coach them in. See a nice prideful moment. Cuddy. He's able to coach his kids like through the sparring session, and kind of a nice place for him to go forward. And because it was basically impossible to do these separate, we are just combining the Western District story with the political story because I didn't see how I could do that separate. It would have made no sense.
The Amsterdam story.
Yes. Yep. Command. Burrell, everybody's like, yep, we got all the police set up outside these free zones. We're ready to take this shit down. We're just waiting on the mayor's office. And the mayor's office, all his administration is like, listen, if we can only figure out how to set this thing up here.
We can just call it something different.
We fire the group that's part of this, but we keep everything that they just did. How do we do that?
What I love about that is, like, in the very first time we see that, Odell Watkins comes up and he perfectly lays out why, no, we can't do this because everybody's going to walk away from you. Everybody from a federal and state level is just going to shit on you every chance that you get. And you're not going to go any place further than the mayor's. Like, it ends here. Like, nobody is going to be okay with you legalizing drugs.
But that 14% crime drop.
Them numbers, though,
But, of course, Burrell sees a slow response from the mayor. He thinks, okay, something's up. They're trying to fuck us. So he gets his boy Carcetti on the phone. It's like, listen, man, you gotta check this out. You got you gotta get in this. He's not making us move on Amsterdam. Get this to your buddy Tony Gray, and see what you can do. Of course, like Tommy brings us over to Teresa. Say, hey, listen, this guy Bunny Colvin probably wants to get his side of the story out here. You should probably try and talk to him. Takes a while. He eventually catches up with Bunny, and Bunny takes him on to around his district. It's like, hey, look at all my corners. Look at all this. Like, this all sucked before, and also I was able to take all my drug people off of all this dumb drug war stuff, and I was able to get them working on other crimes that we could actually deal with, and that's how my stats dropped. Like, not because of like any stat juking. Then, of course, takes him down to Amsterdam. Tommy sees this. He's like, just of all the good stuff that could possibly come out, we still have to deal with this being in the city. Like, there's no real way we can kind of get behind this. I think he kind of knows that after walking through all of Amsterdam. And just a little bit at the end of that, I just thought it was kind of funny. Like, Teresa decides to meet with Jimmy again, although it's pretty fucking clear that she's just kind of looking for information on good old Bunny Colvin. And Jimmy is able to find his self-respect, and he just kind of leaves it from there. Now, go through the wire crew very quickly. They're able to kind of fill up their board. They have a solid wire up on Barksdale and Stringer. But they're also able to confirm that Stringer has a dirty phone that is not on the network. They are trying to figure out a way they can get this phone number. He goes to his FBI guy Fitz, see if he can get this machine that the number fish or whatever it is, trying to find the machine to pull cell phones out the air. He's able to find it at their equipment depot, Triggerfish, that's what it's called. And then after several calls that Stringer makes, they're able to get Stringer's dirty phone number. And then once they got the phone number, they immediately put up a wire, and Daniels calls in a favor to, again, our favorite FBI agent Fitz, say, hey, it's your fault that we had to close down the port case so soon. I don't care what you do. We're getting this wire up on Stringer's phone today. You do what you got to do. And of course, he's able to call in good on that. Says, you know what? What's Russell Bell's given name? It's Russell. No, for the next 3 days, it's Ahmed. Like, we got this thing going for that. And of course, they get this wire up, and the next call that Stringer makes is incriminating as hell. Talking about drugs, talking about possible murder, and the champagne bottles are popping. Everybody's happy. We got Stringer saying some incriminating shit on the phone. Which then brings us to the streets. Step back. Levy tells Stringer, hey, this guy Clay Davis, he's running a game on you. He gave him a whole bunch of money. He's not bribing anybody. He just took it. Sorry. It's life in the NFL. Stringer asks Slim, put a hit on Clay Davis, and Slim and Avon think that's a stupid fucking idea. We're not going to try to assassinate a state senator. We're a bunch of fucking gangsters. That's not what we do.
It's crazy to me that Stringer never got the lawyer involved on any of this sooner. But that's Stringer.
I mean, he just thought he was just too smart for that. For whatever reason, he thought Clay Davis is not going to mess with me because of all the street cred I have.
I learned about all this in night school. I know what I'm doing. I don't need the lawyer.
Of course, all this is frustrating the hell out of Stringer. He makes another call to the police, and he meets up with Bunny at Graveyard. He tips him off about the warehouse he's hanging out with. He's got all the guns, and where he's got all the guns and stuff, where he's been hanging out in the war. It's like, hey, let's arrest him here. Maybe get him on a parole beef. He'll just get him off, just kind of get him off the street for just a little bit. And at that same time, good old brother Mulzone comes at Avon. Hey, listen, you got a line to New York, but your boy, he put a hit on me when I was doing what you asked me to do. So what's it going to be? It basically gives him it's either going to be you or him type of conversation. Leads into a nostalgic night with Avon and Stringer. They're joking about their old times. Have this really great back and forth, kind of where they were at. Although it does get kind of cut short. Kind of if Reddy feel the tension that's been building off from them over this time. And Stringer mentioned he has to go down the site, get things in order. The next morning, where he goes, we see Omar and Brother Mulzone just kind of sneaking off in the back as Stringer is yelling at that fat developer guy. He's going to get things rolling. Omar bursts through the door, pumps a shotgun round into his bodyguard, sends Stringer running up the stairs, where he is met by Brother Mulzone. Stringer tries to talk him out of it.
Some would say they met him on the middle ground.
But good old Omar just drops that one little bit, and hey, man, it's your boy who gave you up.
And we ain't even had to do anything.
And down goes Stringer. Add one more to the body count.
Oh, as a Wire lover, you sold that scene so poorly, my friend. As a person that watched it the first time, I thought if I'm being honest with everybody, leading up to this, I wasn't fully did not get the hype of The Wire. I thought it was good. I think it's a good show. There's no problem. But I haven't it's not entered the pantheon of shows I've seen that I've heard about. And I've always heard The Wire and hush breaths. Have you seen The Wire? That's what I always hear. The way they were able to tell this story and basically introduce something in season 1 and have it pay off in season 3 in a perfect way was one of those reasons where I'm I kind of get it. I get you got to still complete 4, you still got to complete 5 for me to make it count. But where he's sitting up there, they're running, he's trying to figure out, he's basically entrapped himself in this spot. Their security measures, their situations have now laid him to die. And he sits there, do you need money? I'll give you money. It's Omar's you don't get it. This ain't about money. Mm-hmm. Your boy sold you out. You're done. He's well, and then he sits there and I don't think there's any way I can convince you. So go ahead with it or get on with it. And just pumps him. They just load up on him. And the middle ground, I think, is just a perfect episode title for it because Omar comes from the bottom, fucking Brother Mazza comes from the top and basically meets him in the middle, and he has nowhere to run, and it's over for him. And the fact that it pays off in the very next episode too, in the reverse, because Avon is your boy sold you up the river here, and then basically Avon's going to sell his ass up Stringer's going to sell Avon's ass up the river, and it's just that's what I've been waiting for The Wire to connect, and it did it perfectly. Yes, it does do the fine bow, we'll talk about in the next episode. It does the bow, and that's fine. How police procedural closes out, but this is where the character moments rise above the bow. Omar just fucking slinging that shotgun, It's great. It's a fantastic, and how they paid off, and basically it connects the thing where like brother
Brother Museum.
Was on.
Brother Mazan and Stringer had that conversation in season 2 or season season 3 when he gets shot, right?
Yeah.
And basically Brother's like, I don't trust him anymore. Like basically we'll handle it from our situation, because basically got him shot because he was working both sides of the aisle, and it basically he wrote his death sentence then, and he just didn't realize it. So it's great.
Yeah, yes.
Great.
Stringer fucked both these guys over in season 1 and season 2, and now it finally came back and caught him. So, but yeah, I mean, this
have nitpicks on this season, but I'll have to wait for the final episode when you talk that. But I thought this is my favorite episode. This is my favorite run of episodes in The Wire so far, and this is my favorite episode of The Wire so far. By far. And I guess that's not unpopular. Like, I bet if I look up the rating, I bet it's pretty high on this episode.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic episode. There's some great, like I said, the whole thing with Cuddy going to Avon to get the money for the gym. I love that's a great. Like you did all that for $10,000. You just give this guy $15,000. And then the scene with Stringer and Avon is one of the best scenes of the show.
It is the highest rated on IMDb.
That sounds right.
9.6. There's only one episode at the same, and it's season 5, episode 10. So it's the same.
Oh, it's probably the finale then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just two brothers just reminiscing. It's pretty much they know that each of them know that they've betrayed the other one, and this is pretty much them saying goodbye to the other person. It's just a fantastic scene, and then of course the whole sequence with a Stringer there at the end is just definitely one of the best episodes of the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of shit that happens here. You know, I'm trying to orchestrate this as well as I can, but I mean,
no, you're good.
This is
as somebody that never saw the show before. For you to say it like that, I was like, motherfucker, no. My jaw was on the floor. My jaw was like, what? No.
After all the emotion we put in D'Angelo's death, now you're just gonna let Stringer just hang over there.
Yeah, they should have put him on. They should put him on a doorknob.
I mean, there's also that. I knew like something like that was good. Like you haven't seen it. There's no way you'd have no reaction to Stringer just getting killed like that. But,
right.
No, this is one of the best TV episodes to ever exist. It's absolutely phenomenal from top to bottom. Like even down to the Cuddy story. I think even Cuddy, it's the forgotten about bit, but it still works really well. And the back and forth between like what's going on like with the police and how they're dealing with Amsterdam and the mayor's office trying to figure out how to make it work. And Burrell thinks he's trying to fuck them over. Like there's just so many levels of like kind of political chicanery that's happening. And you mentioned kind of the three season journey of where like leading to Stringer's death. We get the 3-season journey of the police finally having something incriminating on Stringer. It finally happens.
And Jimmy says it perfect next episode.
They finally have him in the box. Just for him to die 10 minutes later.
When Jimmy goes in that next jump ahead, but when he says in that episode and goes, I have it on him, and he doesn't know it. Like he didn't know it. Like I had him. Like, like crazy.
No, but yeah, it's a phenomenal fucking episode. And honestly, we're not even done. Which this may make it run a little bit long, but again, it kind of like the way I had to do with the political story and everything happened in the Western District with Amsterdam. That's combined again, and also I'm combining everything that happens with The Wire with the streets and kind of everything with Avon, just because again, no way you can mix it. Real quick on Cuddy. He sees his teacher friend. He's doing well. He gets the kids out in the gym, but new package on the street. They're going back out in the corner, and he confronts his kids, say, "Hey, where are you guys doing? Not at the gym." Runs into Fruit, has this weird confrontational moment with Fruit, knowing that he almost killed him, and he gets his kids to come back to the gym, and that's basically the probably wraps up what we're doing with Cuddy up until now. Just kind of get through it there quick. Going on to the political side and kind of everything going off Amsterdam. Tommy's really considering hard how to approach Amsterdam, even though he's seen kind of everything that's going on with it. Teresa is like saying, listen, man, there's only one way you can fucking play this if you want to be mayor. It's as simple as that. Let's just roll with it. And City Hall, I have marked in a capital STILL, still trying to make the free zones work. They got coffee cups all over the table. Everybody's got their sleeves rolled up. Odell is looking disgusted in the back. Like, what are we still doing here? Of course, Tommy calls in his crews. Cameras are now on Amsterdam. It's a whole clusterfuck. Tommy is talking shit about the mayor. Tony Gray is talking shit about the mayor in front of TV cameras. You got the one reporter who had this story all to himself a week ago, all pissed off. And of course, the mayor sees this shit on the screen. It's like, man, we were fucking stupid for not shutting this down earlier. This looks fucking terrible. Of course, Burrell finally goes see the mayor. He has now relieved Tommy has done his bit. And he says, hey, I'm willing to take the hit on this. But if you try to shit can me as commissioner, I'm going to sing all to high heaven, and I'm going to take every one of you fuckers down with me. Now, we're either going to do it that way or, you're screwed. It's your choice. He cuts the deal that he wants, makes a call over to Rawls. It's all right. Deal is made. Let's shut this shit down. Rawls turns on fucking Riot of the Valkyries like he's fucking Robert Duvall and fucking Apocalypse Now, and they take down Amsterdam with absolute impunity. We did see Johnny before. He's found dead. Yeah, he's dead. I don't know if any of you cared about Johnny and like the story about Johnny, but he is no more. You add him to the body count. They call in. Before Bunny gets called in, he gets a call from Josh Hopkins, where he was going to work after he retired. They heard about the Amsterdam thing. He's like, yeah, we can't have anybody making drugs legal working for our university. You just don't show up in a couple months. Carcetti starts prepping for the council meeting he's going to have, talk about Dr. Burrell and everything going on in Amsterdam. Burrell and Rawls meet up with Bunny, tell him, hey, listen, you're going to go down, and you're going to go down this way, or we're going to fuck everybody that you had working under you, all like just in every which way we can. We're going to relieve you. You're going to go down, retires to the lieutenant's pay. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, or we'll ruin your fucking life. So,
yeah, he thought he had the upper hand. He's like, oh, I'll play this right now. He's like, no, motherfucker, you're going to take the fall because this is fucking stupid. And like,
which on one hand, like everybody in the room outranks him. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. Like he had to make it to his 30 without this happening. Like there's no way he was going good things were going to happen with him. And like if this happened any earlier or before he made his 30, that was kind of silly. Going back over to the mayor. He's starting to see the repercussions. He's starting to get meetings from kind of everybody from the federal and state level. Trying kind of kicking him in the dick over a little bit about this whole Amsterdam thing. Odell Watkins kind of starting to see like a little bit of friction between him and Royce, the mayor. That's who the mayor is. And to kind of get Odell on his side, the mayor decides to drop that Unetta Perkins from the ticket and pick up Marla Daniels, good old Lieutenant Daniels' wife, put her on the ticket. So get him a little thing. Bunny is brought in, relieved of his command, and just funniest way possible. Brawl's trying to get in a couple more digs, and Bunny's like, "Get on with it, motherfucker." Bunny and Burrell and Rawls try to explain all this shit in their council meeting, and they're getting their dick kicked in the whole time over the council meeting. And Tommy has the most mayoral moment you can possibly have, just complete picture perfect speech in front of a bunch of people. And he sets up his claim to run for mayor. Tony realizes it. He gets pissed, walks away, and Tommy now has to deal with that going forward. Which, going into our last side of the story, we got the Wire crew and the Streets. First plot point here was BNBG. And if you know, you know. Oh, BNBG. See, we pointed out earlier, we see good old Jimmy looking at Stringer like a brother of his laying down on the fucking floor, just broken up that he fucking had Stringer on the wire. Can't get him. Everyone at Avon's camp is under the impression that Marlowe killed Stringer. They're ready to go to war. They're ready to fucking strap up and like end this shit. Like they're ready to go Grenada on Marlowe's ass.
Which is so dumb, by the way. Like, I understand why they may think that, but like, did they find out? Did they get any idea what the body was shot with? Did they get any of the information? Because I don't want to say this is uncommon, but The Wire has been going on for this long. Only people that have been shot by a shotgun is by one guy, and it would be Omar. It'd be the easiest to do, like, oh, shotgun shells? Yeah, we know who did this. It was definitely fucking Omar. Like, it's the only one.
I don't know if Avon's people were privy to the police report yet, but, you know.
I mean, shit, people talk. Like,
this is also kind of, like, I think we kind of also still have to remember this is in the early 2000s, kind of late 90s, where word of mouth is still kind of the main thing. Like, you know, just word just does not travel as fast on this end yet. But, no. It leads into a really good exchange with Avon and Slim. Avon is just, he's ready to give it up. It's really ironic because, like, he's been being told this whole time, hey, we got to end this fucking war. He's like, yeah, I don't want to fucking fight anymore. I just served up Stringer on a platter to Omar and brother. Like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. And Slim is like, listen, man, we're too far in this shit. Like, you know, once you're in it, you're in it. And if it's a lie, we're going to fight on the lie. There's nothing we can do at this point. We just got to keep going. Like, after that, Omar goes and picks up his boy. Kind of sees that he took a beating for him. Kind of gets him out of there. Omar and brother say their goodbyes. Brother gives him his gun, token of respect. And probably the last we'll see of Brother Mulzone. Hope, probably. I don't know. But we'll see. Bunny gives Stringer's tip to Jimmy. Kind of as his kind of one last piece of policing that he'll probably ever do. Marlowe is starting to get word that he's getting credit for Stringer's death, and he is A-okay with it. And over this time, like, I think Jimmy is starting to kind of he's starting to see the writing on the wall. Case is ending. He's starting to kind of figure out what's he's gonna do. Like, kind of once they slap the cuffs on Avon, and we got to end this thing. That's going on. We see Prez again, everybody's favorite character ever.
quick draw and McGraw.
And the fact that they pretty much were just going to say, they were going to say, oh, all you did was just, you didn't properly identify yourself as a police. And you could probably fight that and become a police officer again. And he's like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like,
that's crazy. They were going to almost let him get away with it again.
It is really hard to fire police officers.
Clearly.
Yeah. be last we've seen him for the season. Jimmy gives Daniels the Bunny's tip, kind of where Avon's going to be and how they can get him. Tells him Stringer is the informant. At this time, Slim, he sees an opportunity to hit Marlowe. He's pretty much all by himself at the tire place with his mentor guy and Chris and Snoop and all of them. Avon hears about it. He tools up, heads over to the warehouse, get ready to go. And they got Sidnor sitting on the warehouse. They see Avon show up. They get the call. They call in for support, kind of hit Avon's place. Of course, nobody shows up. They are also not in the know that half of the police department is shutting down Amsterdam, and they just get Carver and a handful of guys. Now, not even Carver. They get Herc and a handful of guys to do a shutdown of the spot.
Yeah. So.
Of course, they get knocked on the door. Avon realizes he's surrounded. He's going back to fucking prison. Just look on his face, like, God damn it, here we go again. Wipes off the gun with the prince. Say, oh, you motherfuckers, you shouldn't be playing with guns and shit. They knock down.
We kind of see the decline of Avon this season too. He gets out, but he gets like, I don't remember. I guess maybe I'm naive, but I don't remember seeing a lot of episodes with him being high and stuff. Like he's normally was pretty straight shooter, like clean, but he seemed to get like doped up this season, right? Am I wrong? Or
I don't think he was doing drugs. I think it was more just his obsession with getting back in there and getting.
Doesn't Stringer say at one point, like, "Look at you, like you're high."
You say you're on dope without the needle, kind of saying he's getting high off of the.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it. I thought he was like, okay, then maybe it's power trip then. Yeah. But I took that as like drugs, so maybe I was wrong on that one. So fair.
He's also not like really. He also wasn't really in charge for the whole season. Like Stringer was still the person like who was still in charge, and like he's just kind of just going and playing these fucking war games, and like he's now like kind of having to be the guy, and he didn't really even want to be the guy anymore. And it's kind of funny. That's where he fucking gets arrested, and also where he sees, Stringer's name on the fucking warrant saying, "Oh, my boy fucking turned me in." It sucks to suck. So
yeah, that was like a fucking moment. Like,
so Avon's arrested along with everybody except for Slim. Slim does get away scot-free, at least for now. So that pretty much wraps up the Avon Marlowe war. Marlowe has basically won by default. They start incriminating everybody over Avon's crew. They're funny thing about they get Bodie in a room. Is like, listen, man, I moved my thing on to Amsterdam. I did what you guys told me to do. And it goes in there, claims entrapment. It's the funniest thing.
But hey, it worked.
Somehow. Daniels now has some good shit on him. He goes into Burrell's office. He gets promoted to major, and he's told he is now going to be the new commander of the Western District. He's now all happy about it. Also knowing that his wife is now on the mayor's ticket. He doesn't really need to keep his relationship with Rhonda a secret anymore, and he gets to have a happy relationship with her now. Jimmy goes to meet Bunny one last time about the Avon arrest and Stringer's death. Kind of gives him like one last bit of respect, and also kind of puts things into perspective for Jimmy. Jimmy is kind of now gone into, you know what, I don't really want to be a detective anymore because the stuff that just kind of makes me good for the job just kind of makes me suck at everything else. Like I'm not a good person when I'm a detective. Maybe I just have to try something else. Which leads him to B. Russell's doorstep. Hopefully try to start a relationship with him. Honestly, made me feel good for the guy. Kind of like that happened.
I mean, it shows growth. He turned down sex 2 episodes in a row.
There you go.
Growth.
So,
She was mean to him, though, for being around.
Yeah. So then
And
with
that's okay because Kima's taken up the McNulty mantle anyway.
Sucking on them titties. What the fuck? I was like, what the hell?
That's that HBO quota again.
a lot of
Cutting edge.
trademark HBO nudity we're talking about this week.
Facts.
So yeah, Jimmy's going back to be a normal cop, and I'm just going to kind of speed run through.
Sure he is.
We're going to kind of speed through this whole the montage, because we got to have a montage at the end, which
At the end of
I mean, it's just a thing that happens at the end of the show.
procedural.
We got Fast Train going on. The Western's kind of going back to head knocking ways. We see McNulty there. Donette is morning string. I see Omar ditching his murder weapons. See Carver probably acting like he's going to be a better cop. He goes, meets up with, I say Bunny. That's not right. He meets up with Cuddy at the gym. Kind of seeing it. We see Bodie get free, so the entrapment thing worked. The Barksdale case is being shut down. See Tommy and Tony on the campaign trail, so that's something that's going to be a wrap, like kind of hiking up next season. And Avon's going back to prison. Sees his sister sitting there 1 minute, gone the next. He goes for full circle, loses the rest of his family. Happens to see Marlowe sitting there. Marlowe now going to be the king of the drug trade going forward. And we get the ending. Last bit of this season with everybody's two favorite characters, Bubbles, sharing a conversation with Bunny about Amsterdam as we see Bunny standing amongst the rubble of what used to be the free zones. And that puts a lid off of season 3. I want to hear from you guys, as I talked a lot.
I mean, I think that it was a great wrap up for the season. I think they kind of did a good job, pretty much kind of setting up all the characters. Because I think this was technically, when they did this, they thought it was the series finale too. Yeah, so
that's what I was going to point out, like earlier.
Yeah, so they thought they were pretty much wrapping up the whole show. They didn't realize it was going to come back, and I think the next season didn't start for like a whole another year and a half later or something like that. So I thought it was good, definitely. I think we pretty much went over all the stuff that I had written down here. Yeah, I can definitely see the Game of Thrones people were definitely fans of The Wire when they cast Littlefinger.
I can't wait till season 3 of the show where we do Game of Thrones. But no, so my only downside on this season for me that doesn't make it like an all-timer is I don't love everything gets like concluded and paid off. The one thing that doesn't, or that I don't really care about, that we take a lot of time on, is the political aspects. Not the political aspects of like Rawls and like the homicide and the pressure from the mayor. It's kind of a Littlefinger story. Like it makes sense to me, like what they're doing, but it doesn't like get to a level that I'm just like clamoring for what happens. And I also, unless it pays off in the next season or more, like the boxing shit and that guy, I just never gravitated to him as a character. And we spent a lot of time with him, which is fine. I understand like he's like the reform side of like that life, but like, and also like struggling getting back and forth. I just don't care personally. And like, those are my only two like downsides, but we spend so much time with both of those characters. And I understand you need filler characters. Like, I'm not saying every character and everything has to be a banger. It's just those are the two that are just my personal drawbacks on the season, because the Avon, the Stringer, the Wire itself, the internal relationships with all that, the battle with the main black officer, not Daniels, but
Bunny.
Burrell.
No.
Like his internal struggles with Littlefinger, like I like that, but we kind of like went off on that, right? It was like intrigued and he like kind of agreed, but then he like it branched and we didn't go like that should have been the arc that I would have cared more about. Like those two undercutting each other like every episode, because he turns into that at the very end, right? Where he sits there and like sits down with the mayor and be like, I'll say this and this and this and blah blah blah. And like I was just answering the commands and I was just doing my job. Like you're sitting there like, fuck. Like, but if that was the intriguing stuff that I cared about, like that's I think they just missed a little opportunity. And like I'm looking at it now, like season 3 you were talking about. Like there's 2 years almost. Like these premiered in 2006, so like that one ended in 2004. So like, yeah, you can kind of see like how it was over, like how they assumed it was over. Like it makes sense. Stringer dies, Avon goes back to jail, the Wire's done. Like they're coming back because of the success, obviously. But yeah, those are those only 2 that I just wanted more or didn't need at all. Personally.
And they actually had talked about they were going to do a whole spin-off show with starring Littlefinger, focusing on like the political aspect of Baltimore and going deeper into that stuff. But then they ended up just renewing the show and doing a 4th season instead.
Now, if we have characters and stuff from this that carry over, like Stringer's went longer, Omar's has went, then I'll care maybe more. But right now, it just was. I mean, it was funny to see him not know how to do a push mower, but other than that, I don't give a shit about like his character. I don't care that you wanted to teach these kids, like try to get them away from the drug aspect. Like that's fine, but like they didn't sell it well enough. And that motherfucker and them were shooting people in the beginning of the season. Like we were gonna just forget like they were gunning people down. Like, and then he's like, you know what? I need boxing in my life. Like, what? You were just like beating people down. Like that's weird. It's just a weird setup. But overall, those are my only bad sides of season 3, which we will talk about as a whole. But yeah,
I think the cutting thing. I think like you said, that's kind of example of them trying to show kind of like the struggles that someone getting out of jail has to go through, and pretty much where it almost sets you up pretty much that your only option is to go back to the life of
maybe
crime.
A better actor. Is that rude?
Yeah, could be.
I'm very. Part of me is very happy you brought up Cuddy, because I was going to bring up Cuddy in some capacity, because I am going to take the opposite side of you, like just because on this. I mean,
seriously, you're defending Cuddy this entire season?
Listen, there is a reason I kept bringing Cuddy up, even after he was gone. He was gone from everything.
Brother, this guy stinks.
Hear me out.
I am.
What I love so much about Cuddy is that he is a character, I think, as we look at on the base and just kind of the basis, and I think you kind of laid it out. He's a character that we shouldn't like, because as we examine his history, the stuff that we hadn't seen, he was a gangbanger. He was definitely involved in a lot of the violence. He went to prison for 13 years for probably attempt murder charge, even though he probably actually murdered people. Like, he is most definitely a killer. Like, Avon kind of pointed that out, like, in the last episode, like, they kind of, like, where they went their separate ways. Like, things didn't get by you before. So, probably has killed people. But we get into Cuddy's life at a time when he is trying to get out of the game. He is trying to look for alternatives. And we see this story, and I'll speak for me personally. I can't help but like the guy. I can't help but like him and care about him and want to see where his character goes and want to see him succeed. And I can't help but feel good of whenever he gets those little wins, of when he gets his gym going, when he gets the permits, when he's able to coach those kids. Like, there's and like because I think like what sets him apart, I think I get it, like this thing that does probably annoy you about his character is that unlike the Sabatkas and Carcetti and all those guys, like, who are these other side characters, they kind of have pieces in the greater Wire story, but Cuddy really doesn't anymore. But his story still matters because the show still treats his story like it still matters.
And maybe that's the problem, that we spend too much time on him that we doesn't care. We shouldn't care anymore.
But I don't think that's necessarily true because I think they take they take care with this character and give him a full-fledged story, give him an arc, make us empathize with him. They do the work with such a small character that maybe like we should stop caring about, and they make you like him. And it's something that only good shows do. That is something that only good shows do. They have this attention to detail on characters that are completely apart from the story because he still matters.
No. I strongly disagree. That's not how good shows work. Good shows give me characters and build up story. This is like if I got to see Victor go home and make egg salad in Breaking Bad when he doesn't work with Gus. I don't need to see that. We got to see a little bit of Gale, but that's a perfect example of a character that I would see him like struggling with this internally. I don't give a fuck about Gale. The problem is they try to make Cuddy matter to you, but you don't like. You're personally connected because you're a crazy person that loves The Wire. So you love all aspects of The Wire, basically. Like, you enjoy that. I'm saying that you're right. I think what they try to do is make you care about Cuddy. The problem is you don't care about Cuddy. The same reason I don't care about Littlefinger and his struggles with whether he wants to get a run for it or his political or who should run and blah. I don't give a damn about you. You're supposed to be cunning and start stabbing people in the back because that's how I know you. But overall, it just doesn't get to that level that I care about. Now, if Cuddy just did every intense thing that ever happened to Cuddy and Cuddy just didn't stand there like a brick wall staring at the shit most of the time, maybe I would care because it doesn't realize every big action. You know what? The guy gets shot, guy gets beat, Cuddy's standing there like. Guy talks back to him, he stands there. Like, I get it. I know what you're trying to portray is conflict in your head. Like, do I let these demons back out? Do I accept this? But maybe a better actor would make me care about Cuddy more because I don't think the person that plays Cuddy is that good of an actor in this season.
I don't know. I definitely felt the rage there at the very end where he's kind of getting mean mugging fruit there at the end. I don't really want to get too deep. I don't really want to get too deep in the political side. I'm just going to throw a little Embiid at you of trust the process. Like, we're gonna get there.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that when you think of, which I know of The Wire 3 times now, Bo. That was not in the Bo. That wasn't in the present. So I'm used to everything being paid off. Now you're saying it's going to continue. I'm cool with that, but I need to see the Bo. Like, that's how I felt. But, so I'm going to save everybody real quick time. The question that we're going to have is season 3 of The Wire better than Breaking Bad?
Let's do our scores first, and then we'll have to figure out how it's going to rank.
Okay, that's fair.
And then we can go back and look at our scores of Breaking Bad season 3 too, and then we can figure that out.
I don't remember I know.
I have it. So
okay. Before we do that, do you have any updates on kill counts? I haven't went to you in a while.
Oh yeah.
So if you haven't been doing that, I understand.
No, I've been keeping up with it. So currently, The Wire is up to 61. Breaking Bad is at 44 or 211, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay. And Oz would be in the lead then with 63 kills. So Oz and The Wire are kind of neck and neck.
63 already? Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of pointless people dying.
This is true.
That's true.
And that's not even counting all the people that die in the flashbacks and stuff.
That's fair. So do you guys want me to go first on my ratings?
I'll break the ice. Because I'm probably right in the middle. Well, I don't think I can say I'm right in the middle because for me this is a 5. This is a 5 season.
Okay. Yeah.
I've come to the realization that for me this season of The Wire, I mean, it's just a consistent quality level all the way across. it never reaches some of the heights that Breaking Bad reaches, but Breaking Bad has some dips, whereas I think The Wire was consistently high quality just about every episode this season.
Okay. I'm at 4 stars.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I thought everything has. I think maybe even rewatches will help this season, but I think there's some lulls. And those 2 major points were the only things that drug it to the bad down for me. Everything else, so happy they went away from the fucking weird shit from the second season. So glad they went back to like the drug, the Wire, that setup. Like it was everything I could have wanted, and I think it honestly helps when I compare it to season 2 of The Wire. Like it's completely. Now there's stuff in The Wire season 2 I liked, but nowhere near what this season gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we'll not even need to talk to Mark. Like, you get like, you can only get 5. I'm just letting you know because I'll see your dumbass say 6 in a second. Like 6 stars, 100%, best season of my life, changed my life as a person.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, come on. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
It's fucking fantastic. It's so good. Listen, I can understand, like, you know, I'm kind of looking at Starry Eyes a little bit, but I still look at the political side of the story, and I'm still hooked mainly because, like, we just again at this point, I feel like The Wire has earned the right to slow play stuff because they have shown that it pays off. We just talked about fucking Stringer's death and how it took 3 seasons.
You do not get to sit there and compare Idris Elba Stringer payoff as they just get free reign to do all the slow plays. No, like I'm telling you right now, if the Greeks show back up in season 4, I'm not pleased right now. I don't give a damn. You don't get to sit off an entire season and come back and be like, hello, we're set up in a church or a school and we're gonna do stuff now. Like you don't get to do that. And I'm waiting.
You know, we never did go back to that church and see what window got put up. So
I'm waiting. There has to be a location.
And we don't know what happened to that van that's being shipped around the world. We never got closure on that. So
can you just answer me this, please, for the love of God? Next season does not take place in a location. Like there's not a main focus of the location. Son of a bitch! No!
You're going to like the next season, Cody.
Okay.
It's so good, though. The characters are so good. Like, I am going
Won't somebody think of the characters?
Like, I'm going, like, you know, I'll just.
All right, so let me.
Because Matt did it, it's a 5-star. It's 100%.
Okay.
But I've been going out of my freaking mind, like going to this, because like I know I'm gonna hear Cody talk about all this stupid stuff. We get to season 4 of The Wire, and we're just going like, oh god, we'll get there. But holy shit!
So currently, I think season 3 of Breaking Bad is our highest ranked season so far. Correct?
Yes.
So we have me and Cody both gave it 5, and Mark gave it 4.5.
So it would be higher than season 3. But what I think I'm safe to say is
they're right there. Like they're
right there. 1 and 2, just because they will have a ranking next to each other, when we talk about because just to be transparent, 4 and 5 of Breaking Bad should pass 3 in my eyes. Like if everything's correct. I think maybe Wire season 4 and 5 can also do the same. Like, I don't know, but like if this is the best season, I doubt that because they came back and people still talking in high regards.
So, Wire season 4 should 100% be in the conversation with seasons 4 and 5 of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Because honestly, right now, season 4, I mean, I know it's going to ramp up, but if we had to grade season 4 of Breaking Bad right now, I would definitely put The Wire season 3 over it. But it ramps up, I know. So it's going to be.
Face Off doesn't exist. I agree with you.
See, that's what I was saying. The Breaking Bad has such high highs that I don't think any show can match.
Yeah, I agree.
Like maybe the Game of Thrones has some high highs, but that also has way lower lows than Breaking Bad. But like I said, the Wire season 3 and season 4 it's just a quality level that's consistent throughout almost the whole seasons. But we'll
it's
see
like
as we keep going
again,
on.
and to be fair, I think Breaking Bad took what The Wire did. Like it learned stuff from The Wire. It learned stuff. It basically was a perfect formula, building math, basically, of making a perfect show. Like, don't stay too long, get in, get out, tell your story. It basically does this. Like, the season does a perfect job of, like, ramp, and it just, like, goes. And, like, again, those high moments are high. But, again, I see after this season, and if 4 and 5 deliver, I can definitely understand why it is whispered in the same breath of like greatest shows of all time. I think when I just looked at a list, it was number 7 on the overall like top 100 list. 2 of those shows that we're doing next week were 2 and 3. So crazy. So
yeah. Because like I said, season 4 is also it's up there with the Breaking Bad best seasons. I'm not going to make any promises about season 5. I'll let if Mark wants to make any season 5 promises, but we'll get there when we get there.
Okay, that's fair. Again, I think it's a lot at least episodes, right?
Yeah, it's a short season.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But again, I still think season 1. Season 2, 3, and if 4 pays off out of 5, like if you have a clunker in there, like I think that's reasonable. But overall, that's our show. We're not teasing anything yet, but pretty soon we will talk about what we're doing mid.
Yeah, we're getting because we just finished season 3 of The Wire. We're getting ready to finish up season 4 of Breaking Bad here soon. We're moving through.
I think we will announce it at the end of Breaking Bad season 4. What we are doing in the mid break. And then
we will finish Oz and season 4 of Oz and season 4 of Breaking Bad on the same week. So
so then we will announce then what we're doing mid week, and then when we're right before we conclude on the final, we'll talk about what we're doing for season 2 because we're still motivated to keep going. So thank you all for watching. If no one else watches, well, you didn't get to hear me have some trash takes and get mad at me. So that's great. We'll see you next week or 2 weeks. Bye.